All right, welcome to our coaching call. It is Wednesday, the 16th, August. I cannot believe we're already, almost fall. It's insane. Um, we have Robin here, maybe some other mamas will pop in, and with that, we'll just jump in. Miss Robin, do you have anything you want to share? Update us, wins, learns, and then we'll get some questions answered.
Well, I must admit, I'd like to say a good experience this week. Kit was playing with, the boys were playing with Play-Doh, and they started experimenting with eating it, and I didn't lose it. I did suggest that they might get a sore tummy, so they but go for it. Whatever. And then Kit started playing with it right at the end, and he started playing with it in his hair. And I mentioned to him, and this is possibly the problem. I said, oh, that when you play with it in your hair, it can get stuck, and then the only way to get out is to cut it out, which I didn't think any more of until, I don't know, 15 minutes later. I was in a rush to leave the house, and I couldn't find Kit, so I went upstairs, and the shower was on in the morning, which is not normal, and he was in the shower because that's what he does after a haircut. He had cut the Play-Doh out of his hair. And again, I didn't lose it. I just said, oh, what happened here? And is that something you're planning to do again? Oh, no, Mom. So I just left it at that. I did help him clean it up because there was hair everywhere. And honestly, I don't think the fact that he's got a much shorter bald patch is featuring in his life, but I think it freaked him out a bit. So yeah, but there was no yelling, and I decided, well, there's your consequence, that you've got funny shaped hair now. So I was quite proud of myself for not losing it at all. I don't know what else as a lesson I could have gotten there, but I think that for me the lesson was just to not overreact, because I could have made it into something quite ugly, and I didn't. And Kit, you see, interestingly with Sebi, when things get ugly, he has this massive response, whereas Kit will just go into meltdown. So it's slightly different, and he gets super sensitive, and then he would have been miserable if I'd explained everything about, so it's okay. That's one of my biggest things this week, I think, is trying to figure out how they work, and responding accordingly. I'm not sure the same response would have worked with Sebi. Like, he wouldn't have learned a thing from cutting his own hair and having a whole bunch on the floor. And whereas I truly don't think Kit will ever do it again. So yeah, it was good.
Cool, that's amazing. Do you want to dance around that where I could see different things, or do you have other things you want to share? What do you want to do next or now?
Well, I guess that yeah, I mean, it would be nice to know how you may have responded.
Mhm.
But I'm not upset with how I responded.
I think how you responded was perfect. Like the ultimate end goal was reached, right? He probably is not going to cut his hair again and he solved the problem himself, and he didn't blame you. He took it upon, like, this is amazing. It worked out great. Um, um, so when we think about putting a boundary in place, we absolutely can do that. And it feels like you decided that you didn't want to stop the behavior. Like, okay, he's putting on his hair. I wonder how this is going to turn out. Did you want to stop that, but didn't feel like it would go well? Or were you truly like, you know what? That's interesting. I wonder how this is going to turn out.
That's how I was.
You didn't care that you weren't interested in stopping it.
Honestly, I did not expect him to cut his hair. He's never done that in his life before. So that I didn't see coming. If I had foreseen that, I might have been a little bit more strong on that. But this week I have been trying very hard not to project all my things onto my kids. So I guess maybe I'm treating them a little bit too innocently, but I think I overreact because I know that's going to lead to that, it's going to lead to that, and I don't want any of those.
Yeah.
So yes, I have issues with boundaries, and I know that, but I think my first step is to let go of all the things that could go wrong, and therefore stop all their behaviors, or at least limit what they're doing. And I'm trying to do the whole natural consequences thing. But because I don't know then how to implement the boundary, I maybe let things go too far. So yeah, I could do with some help on that.
Hey, again, first of all, what you did was perfect enough. It worked out. It worked out great. So definitely kudos.
He'd had longer hair. If it had been a girl, or I might have had more to say. His hair is that long. I didn't think it would make too much of a difference, and it is summer. So I think maybe that went through my head, and I just was okay with it.
If it had been my guy or my girl and they were playing with Play-Doh and I'm just kind of observing and they started, eating it or putting it in their hair. If this is something that I didn't care about, honestly, okay, cool. Like, that's fine. But if that is if I thought about it and decided, no, I am not okay with this, or they're rubbing it into the carpet, or they're throwing it about, like whatever it is, this is where we stop the behavior, what to do instead, right? And this is where we offer a choice. Like, oh, you seem to be really enjoying that Play-Doh. We're not going to rub it in the carpet. Would you like to play it at the table? Or are you all done?
Yeah.
Did you do that? Did you feel that coming to you? How does that feel? Have you done that and it didn't work?
I didn't do it at the time. I must admit, I think that I was getting frustrated that they had played so nicely for a long time playing the Play-Doh, and then it did start heading in that direction. In that particular instance, I didn't. You see, that's the other thing with having Kit and Sebi and them being quite different, is that Sebi, I think I was doing that. I've been giving Sebi lots of choices and him alternative routes. But Kit, I think I just didn't expect that. So I let him run with that. Yeah. Because I have been doing that with other things, but I guess not in that particular situation. I think it also caught me by surprise that he was putting it in his hair. I think what I decided is that eating the Play-Doh, they were going to get their comeuppance one way or the other. I've told them many times that it's not a good thing to eat. But yeah, so that's exactly it. It's knowing where my boundary is. And sometimes I find that if I front load my boundaries, then they go straight there and it's a test. So yeah, I have been doing it. If Sebi's been getting a bit boisterous in the kitchen, or he's too active, then I have been, or he's like previously he's been hurting Kit lots, whereas I've been trying to get something done, and then I've been redirecting him and giving him a choice of two things so that he can keep me busy. But I guess I'm not doing it with every boundary, and I wonder whether I've thought of all my boundaries. It's almost like they come to me when things are going pear-shaped and it's too late.
On our list of rules, I think it's in our home rules. Our boundary kind of foundation is it's okay until it's hurting someone or something.
Yes.
If it falls into those two categories, for us, it's probably okay. But if you're hurting someone or yourself, but with your kiddos, you don't, it'd be, someone or something. And that I feel like might be helpful for you to be like, is this a boundary that I want to set? Is it hurting someone or something? And, or is it disrespecting someone and something? And that's, again, even hurt and disrespect, that's subjective to some degree. So it's, I think about Sebi jumping on your bed and messing up your bed, that's, even though that's kind of, it's just maybe not be hurting someone or something, but it's disrespectful because you had, already made it, we're on with your day. I would love to know how that's going, by the way.
He's pushing it,
Okay.
but I'm holding strong. And whenever he does do it, and the bed had been unmade, then I'm like, oh, you're lucky the bed wasn't made yet. If it had been made, this wouldn't be possible. And he's done it a couple of times with the bed made, but I just don't stand for it. And he comes out, well, I get him out, and that's it. That's the end of it. And I mentioned that if he wants to play with in the sheets, then I can get him a sheet, and then he generally moves on. So it's okay.
Why is he doing that? If you offer him a sheet and is he truly interested in tent time? If you know what I mean, he gets in your bed and he's, you know what I mean by tent time, by the sheets. Am I frozen?
Coming up the stairs.
I am frozen. You're frozen. There you are.
Okay, now you're back.
Okay. I'm not sure where I dropped off. I want us to think about the function of the behavior. If he comes in and starts messing up the bed and you're like, whoa, 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 do you want tent time? And I just say tent, sheet time. And he's like, nah, I'm out of here. What was the function of the behavior? Was it really to
play in the sheets? No.
It was for your attention.
For the attention, yeah.
And so you gave
it's generally attention, yeah.
So I would say something like, oh, you're gonna mess that up and then remake it? Huh, interesting. And I would walk out, leave it to him.
Okay. No, I like that.
You're gonna mess that up all by yourself and make it all by yourself? I would put in that all by yourself piece. And then walk out.
Yep.
And then hopefully he'll be like, oh, Mom. And then you're going to load up on some attention, in the kitchen or wherever you're going, if you can, because that's what he's looking for. He's telling you.
Yeah.
Is it possible to give him a dose of attention before he comes into your room and looking for it in that way? Or?
Well, funnily enough, this hasn't been in the mornings.
Okay.
Because generally my bed is not made and then he can play. And this is sort of, it was a phase last week. It was about 4 mornings in a row that he was doing this, and then it stopped. So he hasn't done it this week. So I don't know. It's but then I have Sebi working through that, and the next morning when Sebi's not really interested, but Kit will say, oh, time to play ships in the sheets. So he, I don't know what Kit is looking for. I think he's looking for Kit to get, I think he's looking for Sebi to get in trouble. So, and I get a lot of that.
Do you want to talk about sibling rivalry?
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of that, but I am, like yesterday, I actually think this was a win, although I wouldn't mind knowing what I should have done. I was upstairs. I think I was on the loo or something, and the boys were downstairs, and I could hear, they had been calm, and then there was absolute mayhem, screaming, and it didn't sound like anyone had had a leg chopped off. So, I wasn't going to run downstairs with my pants down, but I finished up, and I decided how I would like to respond to this, and things downstairs had calmed down. So I got to and we've just been listening to Charlotte's Web on the Audible. So I got downstairs, and I wanted to know, I said to them, right, I heard Wilbur screeching, or I heard Wilbur squealing. Where's Wilbur is what I asked. and Kit just burst out laughing. So, and it was great. It actually and then I dove into it, like, there was a lot of noise, and where was it coming from? And then they sort of explained, but it was past. And they laughed, and it was actually a time to get out the house, and it just helped us move. There was, they were laughing, and so that was helpful. Also, the fact that I've been leaving them to solve their own problems quite a lot, and they're tending to, but it depends on where they're at.
Mhm.
So that's been quite good. I mean, same old story. Sean got back on Sunday and has started to lay down the law. So at this time, I'm riding it out and letting him do his thing and not arguing, because that doesn't help. And just watching, and it's quite interesting how a little bit less patience, and he's not letting them solve their own problems. So yeah, anyway, that's a whole bunch of things, but yeah, the sibling rivalry is rampant and they are hurting one another, but they know one another so well that Sebi is really good at getting Kit out of maybe not a full-on meltdown, but on a close to, and the same the other way. So that happens occasionally if they've been playing nicely and then there's a blow up and I leave it alone and there's no hurting one another, then they seem to be able to come out of it. So that's progress, I think.
Mhm. I love the playfulness. Wilbur is screaming. Has anyone seen Wilbur or whatever you
Yeah.
see? That's
Yeah.
amazing. Kit thought that was hilarious. I think two things where my brain went was number one was something that I started doing with Evie and Dalton, and it worked really, really well. And you can use this for tattletaling too, is
Yeah, that's
you
happening as well.
know, is you kind of said, oh, what happened, right? And then they kind of explained to you what happened. Is that kind of how you did that?
It's sort of. I guess I was mentioning that someone had sounded like a stuck pig, and
Okay.
that was, yeah, I kind of continued on that vein. And then they explained, I don't think I asked what happened. I think I then got told that, I don't know, Kit was doing this and Sebi was doing that, but they explained it. So it was okay.
And so how did you reinforce the fact that they worked it out?
I think I did mention that I was glad that they had solved the problem without me. So
Okay.
I am trying to emphasize when they're solving problems.
Okay. If you said, I'm glad you solved the problem without me, we made it about us.
Yes.
Versus, oh, wow, it seems like you guys solved your problem. You really are a solid team.
I do think it was more that.
Okay,
I
okay.
am trying to do that. I'm trying very hard not to be the proud parent.
Yeah. And then you could dive deeper in that. If they're needing more connection and attention, then you could say, how did you solve this problem and love each other?
Mm,
And just be aware for any kind of blaming, finger pointing, and then you would just want to stop it, before it goes into the negative place. Be like,
mm,
if, well, I don't know, if the energy shifts or the tones shift, then you can be like, you guys are amazing. Let's go, or let's just redirect and,
mm,
keep it super positive. But definitely reinforce the fact that they solve the problem on their own, how great they are together and for each other and all of that.
yeah. I feel like literally yesterday and today, or yesterday afternoon and this morning, they've been getting on with one another really well. And I've been trying to emphasize that. And if I've been busy and Sebi's wanted help, sometimes I've asked if Kit can help, but other times Kit has volunteered. So it's been really nice.
Mm.
Not the whole time, but
Yeah.
more than normal. And I've been trying to highlight that that's been happening, so
Yeah.
that they're aware of like how well they do together.
Mm.
Um, so yeah.
Um, yeah, and then if they're ready and if you want to take the conversation deeper, yeah, asking how did you guys come to this conclusion, or how did you guys solve this problem together, and letting them describe, and how did that make you feel, and how do you think that made him feel, and when you said that, how do you think that made him feel?
And then I'll have Sebi saying, "Stop talking, Mom."
Okay. Maybe then just ask Kit and don't ask Sebi or something, because Kit does enjoy those deeper level. And then
Mm.
you could invite Kit, or sorry, Sebi. You could say, would you like to let me know? Would you like to share how that made you feel or no? Giving him that choice. I just need to go check on one quick thing. I will be
Yep.
right back. Thank you.
No problem.
Um, does that feel good?
Yeah. No, I like that.
And so we can use that same strategy when the kids tattle on each other. So if my kiddos, either one would come, and if it wasn't truly a sense of caring, you know what I mean? Then I would take it and give attention to that if it was really he's hurt, you know, whatever. But
Sure.
if it's a tattling situation, can you think of the last time one of them tattled and it just being, you know, not too big of a deal from our perspective?
Maybe, I mean, it's maybe not so much tattle. Yeah, and I mean, Kit will say, Sebi hurt. Sebi's just done this, or it's happening a lot. So Kit seems to be more of a tattletale, and Sebi is a messenger for Kit. So I'm having both those problems. So yeah.
What do you mean messenger for Kit?
So he'll be the one coming to tell me that something is happening. And I'll tell him to tell Kit that it's, you know, it's not a big deal. Or for example, yesterday I gave them my Leatherman, the scissors part to I thought they were trimming leaves, and then it turned out they were trimming branches. And I mean, I felt like when I handed it over, it was a bit dangerous, and maybe I shouldn't be doing that in the first place. But I did it, and then they were trimming branches, and it was not the right thing to have done. So I got the Leatherman back, and then Kit, and he had cut the, and I let it slide again. He had cut the string that had been attached to the Leatherman. It allows you, you know, if you tie it on your belt or something. It had a bit of sentimentality. My dad had tied it on, and it was special for that. You know, it was quite a special type of string, and obviously I hadn't cut it in the 30 years I've had it. But I let that slide because I knew that he didn't know that. And then yesterday he asked to play with that again, and I said, well, unfortunately not, because you're blunting it on all the trees, and it's actually not a safe thing to be playing with. And then 10 minutes later, I have Sebi come to ask if he could use the multi-tool, and I said, yeah, no, Sebi, and tell your brother that that's a no. So yeah, I don't think I handled that very well, but I do think I handled the whole don't freak out that he's cut it. But okay. Yeah. So yes, if I think about it, I probably shouldn't have let them play with it in the first place.
7 and 4. I mean,
6 and 4, but yeah,
when's he turned 7? Not
in
7.
March.
March. Okay. I mean,
I wasn't worried that he was going to try and cut anyone or anything like that. So I do trust him with it, and he knows how to hold scissors. But yeah, there were other tools on there that you know.
So did you front load anything on? You can use the scissors only. You can't take any of the knives out. You did front load.
I did do that.
Okay. And then what you didn't do was front load. Okay, we're cutting leaves only, not branches, not anything else.
It didn't cross my mind, but yes, I didn't front load that.
And you know, I think it would be totally appropriate to when they ask, I love that you didn't freak out about the string being cut, but that definitely falls into hurting something or someone. That wasn't
Yeah.
his cut. And he
No.
needs to know that. And I love that you can stay super loving and regulated and present with that. But and they're supposed to make these mistakes so they can learn. If he
Yeah.
so much better that he cut a string
Yes.
at 6 versus something, much more important at 7. So, but this is, again, I don't know. Do you plan on bringing this back to him?
I
Or,
should. But
yes.
you see, this is one of my main problems is
Okay.
it's in the past.
Mhm.
And I forget. It's not so much that I don't want to come back to it, but
Mhm.
life is a bit crazy. So we move on.
Yeah.
But I can absolutely come back to that. I don't know. Yeah. I guess he had no awareness that it
Yeah,
was particularly special.
sure. But he still didn't have a right to cut it at the
No.
end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you don't remember to circle back to something, that's okay. When it comes up again, then you can say, I'm having some feelings because the string was cut, and that actually meant a lot to me. You didn't know that, but you still cut something that wasn't yours. And
Yes.
I'm going to forgive you. And of course, you'll get to play with this again, or not play because it's a tool. You'll get to
Yeah.
use this tool again. But I need some time. Um, I need some time because that meant a lot to me and I'm having feelings about it. But and you can think about it too. If you're gonna cut things that aren't yours, but I'm not ready for you to use my tool because you cut the string on my tool.
Hmm.
Just do it. You can just
Whereas I think I had similar words, but I blamed the blunting of the knife on branches. So I used that.
that too. And you can say, and this is I love it when we can take accountability for pieces of whatever happened because then it opens their minds and hearts also because it doesn't set us so far above them. So
Mm.
I would say something like, and you can even say, I take accountability for this part. I wasn't cool with you cutting branches. I thought that we understood. Oh, wait, did you front load that?
No.
Oh, okay. Because if you had, then we'd have a different conversation. But you can say, I didn't let you know only leaves, not branches. And I'm so sorry. But, I'll let you try again, maybe in like a day or 2 days. But for now, we're just going to keep the tool where it belongs.
Mm.
Letting them think about this. And then if you can bring some perspective, have they ever had anything that's been destroyed by someone? Or you could even use a like, and I wouldn't pit the brothers against each other ever. I would never, even in an assumption scenario, I would say this, it kind of feels like, if for you, it would feel like if someone came in and cut your favorite teddy bear, or if someone come in and cut something really special of yours, that they don't have a right to do that, and that's not okay. And even if they didn't know, it would still hurt your feelings or whatever.
Mm.
Just giving them some perspective. But I think the key is letting them know that they'll get another opportunity. They'll get another opportunity to try again tomorrow or next week,
Yeah.
because then they won't stay stuck in the no.
Yes. Whereas I think I've left it as not sure they'll ever get it again.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you hand it back to them, just like, in a playful way, like, what are the expectations with this tool? Is it a toy or is it a tool? Giving them some power. And then what are the expectations that we talked about? They tell you. And
Yeah.
then you like, oh, there's one more that you forgot. Or I would say two more that you forgot. I'd make one extra silly. Like, no, well, I don't know. I don't know. I would say no cutting the house, something silly, and then that might spark their memory. Oh my gosh, memory. That's what my daughter says. That might spark their memory of the next expectation of it. So if we can pull in playfulness, great. It gets their brains thinking. If they're forgetting something, and then having them tell us what the expectations are. And it's perfectly fine to say, you didn't know this, but that was from my dad. That meant a lot to me. And I didn't tell you it was from my dad, but I shouldn't have to tell you about my things. Your job is to respect other people's things, your own things and other people's things. It's fully appropriate to let them know you're a little bummed about it.
Yeah. Okay. This is the bit I need to focus on, because I almost feel like for me the lesson is subconscious. I don't think it out.
And that's why you're here, to get these
Yeah.
ideas. So the tattling thing, can we hop back on that for a second?
Yeah.
If it's not, if it's in such a way that Sebi left, the water on, he used too much soap, he's doing that, these little gouges, then I would say something like, oh, that seems to be bothering you. How are you helping him with that?
Okay.
Or you seem to have, some concern about this. Have you offered to help him? What's your plan? Because the one who's trying to get the other one is looking for attention. So by us turning it right back onto them, what's your plan? I wonder how are you going to help him with this? We are giving him a little dose of attention in the right way, and we're not reinforcing anything negative. Because even if we lose either way, if we say, ugh, Kit, why is he always doing the soap thing? And then we go in and, thanks for telling me that he did the soap thing. We're reinforcing Sibby getting Kit, tattling on Kit. And then if we say thank you for telling me or anything like that, we're still reinforced that Sibby came to tell. So we're not reinforcing what we're hoping to.
Okay, and that's for minor things.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely those, but it's also when Kit gets hurt, or Kit will say, Sebi's doing that thing where he hurts me. And I guess I could follow up on that. Because Kit really hasn't clicked that Sebi hurts him because he has missed all his cues for attention. I probably haven't managed that as best I can. I find that I very seldom have calm enough to talk to them. I actually found, was it yesterday or the day before? I had them both in the car, and we were going back to some situation and chatting about it, and they both had such interesting input. But honestly, that was the first time I had heard them talk about a situation. We very seldom have that calm. It's mostly just not calm.
What do you mean?
I think what I mean is that in the car, if I bring something up, I think it's the whole connection. I think I'm struggling to connect and then talk about something of interest. I think it's a lot of me talking at them. So I'm trying, but I know it's falling on deaf ears. So yeah, it's the connect part. Maybe. And maybe I had connected and then they were willing to chat about this. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was aware at the time that I actually had their attention, which yeah, it's not, I feel like it's not a lot of the time.
Hmm. Okay, so maybe look for patterns, and you're right, we need to connect before we direct or correct. Um, it was in the car, and what were like what had happened before, let's think the ABCs, what had happened before the behavior of them really talking about this, and then we can talk about that C, the consequent, how that was reinforced.
Well, I think when I realized they were chatting about this, and it was actually a meaningful conversation, and then the consequence for me was that I was able to emphasize how they had approached it, and so I think that, and the fact that they were working well as a team, and so I think at least I didn't miss that opportunity. But I have no idea what happened before. Do you know what this may have been after? I think it was after the whole where I brought up Wilbur, and
Mm.
then we got into the car immediately, and then they were still open to chatting about stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I would like more of that, but I don't. Yeah, I think this is all coming in stages for me. The first one is to just calm down,
mm,
and not be reactive all the time. And I certainly feel like I'm by no means a master, and I do lose it, but I'm losing it maybe once a week, and I'm not losing it that badly. And you asked me last week how do I feel when I'm losing it, and where in my body, and it's my head. That's where I can feel it.
okay. Let's
So
let's get more granular. Is it here? Is it here? Is it back
the
here?
back.
The back. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and do you feel like you see red, but you're still able to stay green or at least yellow?
Most of a lot of the time, I have something kick in and say, "Is that the end of the world?" No.
Mm,
So I am getting that. Occasionally, I do like the emotions take over, and so I do get that response, but it's not often. I'm not sure. So I've been investigating, or looking up something, and it's this, or something popped up in one of my streams. You know, when you start reading stuff, then other things pop up, and it had to do with mom anger. And I didn't know that was a thing, but someone is talking about it, and it just described where I was at. I'd like to think I'm getting a hang of it, but it I think there's a lot of stuff, for lack of a better word, baggage,
mhm,
um and what they were emphasizing is that baggage needs to be cleared before you can actually move on, because otherwise it's it's always there, and you can't be mindful all the time of your responses. That's too much effort. So if you've somehow cleared the baggage, this particular one had to do with tapping,
mhm,
um and I'm starting to wonder, because I'm trying to own my responses and my choice. I'm choosing not to be overwhelmed, and I'm choosing how I respond, and I'm really focused on how I'm responding. But I do think that if I were to stop chatting to you on a weekly basis, I would slide right back to where I was. Just because it's still all there,
you're right.
and it's remembering that, but I also need to not be dependent on weekly reminders of this approach.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to work out how I'm interested in all the baggage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So oftentimes parents come because they've got to deal with their kids' behavior. And so have you thinking of the hand, we've got the brain model, but we also have the hand model of us as a parent and our parenting.
Mm.
This is us, who we are, our being. This is what we do. This is our relationship with ourself, and this is and our childhood stuff and our relationship with our kids. and they're intertwined. We do have to work on both, but most parents, same here, are not ready. They can't see how they contribute so much to the ongoing stuff. So generally getting a few strategies and they can see the light in the tunnel, then they're ready to really work on their own stuff because it becomes more apparent. Um, I don't know, I have a great resource if you want to do energy regression work. Um, yeah, wow. Just a
I
time
don't even know what that means.
I didn't either. Um,
And my husband will tell me that I'm losing my mind. But then he will also compliment me on how my tone has changed and how I'm coping so well and how I've just, like he's freaking out. I leave for Cape Town on Friday. and before I booked the ticket, I wanted to look him in the eye and say, "Are you okay with this?" And he told me no. So I didn't expect that, and I'm battling with it. But I that's when I decided, well, I'm going because I can't have spent a month solo parenting to be told no, you can't go. So that's yeah.
if he wants a session at all, happy to throw one in there if he's interested.
Thank you.
Yeah. If not, that's cool too. Whatever he so you're leaving Friday. Well, so you won't really do you want next Wednesdays?
If the timing works, then sure.
Okay.
South Africa it's 9 hours ahead of me, so we can work out the time difference. If it works, then yes,
Okay.
please. But if
Yeah. And
yeah,
if he wants it, then we can give it to him or both. That would be cool.
yeah,
I have one mom whose mother-in-law and mom get on to all get on the same page. It's great.
I
Um,
don't know if the timing would work.
okay.
But and I'm not sure if I can convince him that much.
It
I
wouldn't be
feel
convincing, it wouldn't, it'd just be an invitation. Do you want
yeah,
a session on Wednesday? We pay for it anyways, or you don't have, if that would be a reminder that of this waste of money, right? That sometimes our hubbies think.
yeah.
We could say, it's available to us if you want it. If not, cool. Totally in his ball court.
Okay. Well, thank
No
you.
pressure. We don't want to put any more pressure on him, and he can change his. I will be here no matter what,
Okay.
so he can hop on whether, I will whether if he the last 5 minutes, I will definitely have it up and ready. Um, you're welcome. Yeah, no problem. And if he doesn't want to, he's not ready, and that's okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's ready.
Okay.
That's my opinion, but yeah.
So what I was gonna share, I'll try not to make this too much about me, but I had been feeling so guilty about so many things, and it just festers. And that's what our childhood stuff does to us. We interpret things our parents say and do in very weird ways, the only way that our little body knows how. And then it comes up. It's triggered by our kids because we never dealt with it appropriately. We filed it away and it sat. And now our kids trigger that and we still don't know how to process it. We didn't then, we don't know. We don't now. And I'm happy to give you the resource, but this coach, she took me back through my timeline of the times that I felt guilty, and it was like going back in a roller coaster. It was crazy, and all the way to my birth and to first grade when I made a Christmas ornament, and my dad freaked out because we couldn't celebrate Christmas, and all these things, and I was like, whoa, I had no idea. And my parents didn't do these things to hurt me for sure, but they still said things and did things that I interpreted as a kid in certain ways, and it's festering in my own parenting. And
Yeah.
so I make Christmas miserable for everybody. I always have. I've hated it, and now I know why. That was crazy. So if you want that resource, I'm happy to share that with you in a mess in it was powerful. It was so, so powerful. I recommend everyone do it if we're ready for that. It's crazy.
Mm. Well, maybe. I do feel like it's been the last few weeks where I'm like, oh, this really is about me. Um, and and I had no sense that this would, I didn't expect any of this. um or difficulty. Yeah, I thought it would be easy to raise kids.
Yeah.
I think it's actually it's one of my traumas. It wasn't meant to be, but when I was 11, so it's older than the boys are, my parents, we went on holiday to the UK for 3 weeks with them, and then they stayed for 3 weeks and they went to Italy, and we flew home unaccompanied, and that wasn't really a problem, but we stayed with my aunt for 3 weeks. And I love my aunt and I always have, but I feel like that was 3 weeks without my parents and very like not understood. I um and I think that's holding me back. I haven't even told my boys I'm going. And well, I only booked the plane ticket eventually last night. So, and I kind of, it was my question, I think a week or two ago to you, like, how do I make this easier, like straightforward? And I guess I'm expecting the worst, and
Mhm.
Sean is expecting the worst, which is really not helping. So yeah, I'm getting Sean to print out the plane ticket stuff because Kit likes having that, and I will highlight and circle it with him, and that's kind of my plan of action, and to keep it very light. And I've been dropping hints that my dad needs help for this last week, so hopefully when they hear that, that it's I don't need them to be traumatized for 10 days. Um,
So
yeah, and that's not up to me so much because I need to go.
let me explain a little bit about trauma, okay? First of all, I love that you're recognizing you're struggling with this because of your childhood, you being left somewhere and it didn't feel good, and you're projecting how it possibly could make them feel.
Yeah,
Um, so trauma isn't the actual event that happened, it's how it was processed.
yeah.
It's how we process it. If someone's got our back, if someone's holding our hand, helping us through it, that's
Yeah.
where how it gets filed. That's where trauma comes from. So whether your husband can or cannot, we can still talk about how to bring it up. But when you come back, it's just going to be all about that when you're on the phone, validating, not giving in, you know. Just yeah, it's hard when a mommy or daddy leave for sure. And I left my daddy, and that's why I need to visit, giving some perspective, but just
Mm,
making sure that um validating, empathizing, and then giving some power back, some choices or a curiosity question to invite their voice.
yeah.
And while you're there, so also just kind of hopping around, when you're describing, your departure, you can let them know, what do you want me to bring back for you? Do
Mm,
you want a branch from I don't know, whatever you can. Do you want a stuffed animal, a figurine, a rock? Um, you know, and just you don't want to make it to where it'll be like you're going to have such this grand time, but you also get to have joy in your life, too. It's even if they get to be sad, and they get to have their feelings about this. They get to
mm.
be mad, they get to be sad, they get to be disappointed, they get to miss you. That's all okay.
Yeah. And now I think I'm frustrated with my husband because he's made me feel worse about it.
Mm.
Um, and I would like him to just say, "We'll manage, go." Oh, it's that when you said someone has your back, and
Mhm.
I feel like no, of course he does. He's there. He's gonna do it. But it's not a like go. You need to do this. I'll be okay. I do think that it's taken me a long time. This is a lot of stuff, and I'm sorry to load it on you, but it's
Bring it.
it's been years of me not really coping with the boys, and him feeling really bad about being at work or being away from us, because I haven't coped really well. But I definitely am. In the last year, it's been much better. And certainly last summer, his mom flew out twice across the world to help me while Sean was away for work. And I realized then that it wasn't actually as helpful as it could have been. I don't think it's possible. And this summer I didn't want anyone's help. I knew I could do it, and it's been fine. I haven't exactly, it's been hard, but it hasn't been about survival. It's been about more than that. And I think that's what I'm frustrated, that I haven't been able to do that for him. I have been on the phone to him in tears when he's on the other side of the world, and I know that he can't help me, but he needs to just talk me through it. And sometimes he can do that, and sometimes he just feels at a complete loss. And so I feel like we're doing one another down, and it's now we've switched roles. And I think I've been frustrated with him because I've just done this for a month in the last 6 weeks, and he doesn't think he can do it. And I didn't need that on top of everything else. Anyway, that's the whole shebang. I know it will be fine, but I have two sensitive little people, one in particular. And I also don't want to be the rescuer. I heard you last week. I did arrange a summer camp for Kit next week, but I said to Sean, I didn't just do it. I said to Sean, right, there's an option. Would you like me to book this or not? Have you got other plans? Oh, he thinks that's a good idea. So I did book that, but I'm not doing anything else. I could literally set them up with play dates every day, and I'm not doing it. And it feels very weird not to, but I almost want him to feel how blooming hard this has been. So, but that feels cruel at the same time. So yeah.
I hear you. Something that I wanted to share. So he is going to have a hard time. He has stated that, I don't want you to go. I'm going to have a hard time. Then a neutral thing about that is that's about him.
Yes.
Not about you at all. That's about where he is in parenting, what he doesn't want to face, what he's worried he's going to feel overwhelmed. And you have worked hard to get to that next level of a little more peace, a little more understanding, a little more. And I hope you're so proud of yourself for just moving forward, doing what you need to do. And I just would invite you to drop the guilt about it. He's not, whether he is or isn't trying to make you feel a little guilty, you don't have to wear that. You have enough.
Yeah.
You have enough. And are you going to get to talk to the boys each night? Is that something you are going to try or each day? Or I know the times
definitely each day. They are terrible on the phone in terms, when Sean's been away, the time difference makes it really hard, but they are not interested to chat.
So it shouldn't be a forced thing. Like, I'm going to call every day at this time if you want, and this is going to give them power. If you want to talk, great. If not, that's okay too. I want to talk to you, but if you're busy or you don't feel like talking, that's okay. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Always have that, that future casting that you're going to be back. You're going to be back. You're going to be back.
Yeah.
And then for you, I don't know if you can share with Sean, like, if you want a tip, our job is to validate their feelings, not make them shut up, not make them stop crying if they're having a hard time, but he may not be ready for that. And so I don't know if he'd be open for you to share that.
I've been wondering about that. And then I feel like I don't want to be caught as the lecturer.
Yeah.
I really don't.
He knows that you're gaining all these tools. If he was interested, he would ask. So there's a block. There's a block somewhere.
Yes.
So yeah, I love that you're like, I'm not gonna, force this. But what you can do when you're on the phone with the boys, and then of course, when you get back is all the validating. That was hard and you did it. And it was hard for
Mm,
me. Oh my gosh, I
mm.
missed you every day. My heart was like only this full of love every day. I had so much space that I thought about you every day. And um and I always try and bring, are you guys religious or spiritual at all? No. I always try and just say, my love is circling around you. Do you feel it? And when I
Well,
go to,
we do have it's Sebi with preschool. We have a heart connection from one to the other, and it goes around the world. So yeah,
oh,
I've got that.
beautiful.
Um, so I can emphasize that.
Yeah.
Um, and we send lasers of love to
Oh,
Granny on the other side of the world,
that's
and
so cute. That's
yeah.
okay. And just
So
pull that in. And um, again, trauma isn't about the event, it's how it's processed. So
yes,
just making sure they feel loved, and it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to be, all your feelings are okay. I will be back before you know it. And I'm going to go help my dad. And I'm excited about that too. And what I love telling my kids is two things are true. I'm sad to leave, and I'm so excited I get to go spend time with my dad.
yeah,
We talk about how two things are true all the time.
I like that.
And so you can even give them words. Two things might be true for you too. You're super excited. You get to spend all this time with daddy, and you're sad that I am leaving for 2 weeks and I'll be right back.
Yes, yeah. Okay. No, thank you.
You're welcome. And, you know, yes, I don't know how long you've been here with me at this very second, but I've even been told that this should be like a 6-month program because trying to change habits and get, oh my gosh, it's so complex. We've been practicing a certain way, all of our childhood stuff before that. I mean, just this little bit of time to change, it's not only does it go slow, but it goes like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Change goes so slow. So, um, and I've got some other ideas on how to make it even more beneficial that we can talk about later or whatever. What I'd love to jump to now in the last, do you have any, I know we're over time. If you have another couple minutes, are you prepared to tell the boys about it? When are you going to tell them that you're leaving?
I have to tell them today. I can't leave it till tomorrow and say I'm gone tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Okay.
And I also don't want to tell them just before bed or anything because that's
Okay. What time is it there?
it's 2:20. I did want to tell them with Sean
Okay.
because yeah, I don't know. And I've been avoiding it.
Yes, it's going to be hard, and that's okay. It's not, you're leaving your treasures. You've never done that before. There's all these feelings. Like, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Um, it's necessary. And we are also projecting a lot of to all the
Yes.
what ifs and could ifs. And so, like we shared, we talked about a couple weeks ago, our confidence that they're going to be okay, that we're going to be okay. Um, and then, you're already thinking about, you're going to print out the tickets for him to, or for Kit to like circle and do all that stuff and be a part of it.
Mhm.
And maybe you can make celebratory cookies that last throughout the week, and every time they eat one they can think of you, or a little ritual or something just to ease.
Yeah.
um but definitely don't position anything as a question or asking them. Do you know what I mean? Like, are you
Yes.
okay with this? Because then you have to basically say, well, too bad, it's happening anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just, this is happening. I'm sad to leave you. Two things are true. I'm so excited to go see my dad. I'll be back. Here's the calendar that we're going to mark off each day. What time? And then how we want to position questions to them to start getting their feedback. what time should I call every day? What should we make for cookies? So every time you eat one, you can think of me.
Yeah.
Anything else that you're, who do you think is going to handle it better?
If I get him on board, Kit will be fine. If I don't, he's going to freak. Sebi might struggle. He has always been quite, in South Africa we say mommy fuss. I don't know what just what, but just glued to mom, and he was like that until the last 6 months have been good. But I project that he will regress, and because occasionally that happens if he's with dad in the forest and we get separated, because he wants to go with dad. Within 2 minutes he actually wanted to go with mom and he's freaking out. So Sean has got a lot of that in his head about you know, like, and he hasn't been the primary caregiver, so there's that as well. So yeah, it's gonna, but I do know he'll be fine, and I know he's the playful one in the family. He's able to change the mood really easily, and so but I don't feel comfortable reminding him about all of that.
Yeah, I love that you're in that space, because he knows that you're doing work, you're practicing this stuff, and you've got tools in your toolbox that he could borrow, and he can't access those yet. He cannot ask for those yet. He'll get there, but it might be when he's down super in the truly in the trenches, you know, he might be like, okay.
Well, I hate that
I know.
is what I'm doing, but yeah, I'm also,
you were in the trenches. You were in the
I have been for years and years and years. So
and you
yeah.
finally were like, oh my God, I need help. And that's where most of us have to be before we raise our hand and say, yep, need tools. Not doing good.
Oh, for me, it was realizing there is another way. Like, I'm not allowed to hit my children. Well, what do I do? You know, like, yeah. Anyway, that's
right. Just throw me a message if it goes south-ish or super south or whatever, and I'll be happy to, you know, help bring any awareness to pieces or whatever.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Just throw me a message and I will definitely, whether we get on a call or, but you got this for sure. I wanted to ask you about how bedtime's going too, but how is it going better?
Well, I mean, I was posting in the Facebook group and I gave up after a few days, but then Sean got home. And so the night before Sean, it was actually, I do need to tell you this because it was the one after the last one you've seen. And it was quite late, and I can't remember exactly how it turned out, because I was getting everything, and we'd done 3 nights the same. And then the 4th night, Kit was in this room. Sebi had started to become aware that Kit wasn't with him at bedtime, but he was okay with it. And I was getting Sebi to sleep, and Kit walked in because it had taken quite a long time, and he wanted to know where I was and when was I coming. But that got Sebi up, and Sebi wanted to come and read a story with us. So then I thought, okay, fine, Sebi, come read a story with us. But Kit was not having that because it was his time with mom. So I said, right, we're just doing back to normal. Let's all go to the bedroom and we'll all do it. And then it was Kit freaking out, meltdown. And I barricaded the door to try and keep them in the room, you know, but then he tried to climb around me. And eventually I just laughed. I laughed and laughed and laughed because I was like, I was expecting this on night 1 and I wasn't expecting it 4 nights in. I let Kit go to the bedroom. I got Sebi to sleep. It didn't require another story. It just required the light off and I just chatted to him for a bit. He went to sleep. I came and cuddled Kit, read him a story, put him to bed. And then Sean came home the next night and did his thing. And we haven't actually done the same kind of approach because it's been really hot, and the excuse has been, well, the aircon is in your room, we're going to do it together. And so there's been no reason to do it again. and also at the back of my head, I knew I was likely going away. So the more that Dad did it, and Dad gets them down really quickly. So I just decided it's your thing. I'm okay with it. Kit keeps asking for this split bedtime, and I'm prepared to do it, but it also needs to, I need to explain to Kit that it needs to happen according to plan. Oh, what I did do when Kit had left and I got Sebi to sleep, I knew Kit was just outside the door, and then I heard him running to the room, and so I knew that he was not happy, but he was. And then I came back here and I was like, right, well, what went wrong? I'd been taking too long. He wanted to find out where I was, so I said, well, next time, instead of barging in, is there something else you could do? I'm gonna listen under the door, Mom. I'm not gonna come in. and I said, well, yes, that would be a good plan. And yeah, so again, I didn't explode and we went to sleep. And I think it would work. I've got to work it out in terms of Sebi. I've got to explain to him that he gets his mommy time and Kit gets his mommy time. And in my husband's eyes, this is a huge waste of time because it takes so long. But for me, there's no more fighting with one another at bedtime. So, which he hasn't experienced because he's back and just doing his normal, and he can leave. Kit will go to sleep by himself, but it's okay. I'm all right with it. It's not my reality. So that's how it's gone down. It's okay. I didn't yell because I've had no yelling at bedtime.
That's amazing. And it sounds like the last day it worked well. He came up with a solution to the problem, and it's just the Sebi piece, him really we can talk about how to mitigate these things if you want to continue trying.
Yeah, it's not urgent. Tonight is likely hot again. I'll just do it together, and and this can be for when I'm back, because it's just, I think there's going to be too much change, and yeah. But I found it quite funny that I had just laughed. I laughed it off. And they both ended up laughing. They were looking at me like I was going mad, and then they just laughed. And it changed the mood immediately. So it was good. I mean, I can't use laughter every time, but in that particular case, it was just like, I give up. This is just funny.
Yeah.
So yeah. We are actually wondering whether we should put the boys in separate rooms going forward. We've got 3 bedrooms. We just used the other one. It was an office, and now it's a spare room, and we don't get too many guests. So we've got to decide, with me starting work, do we have it as a separate office or do we have it as a separate room? I had hoped they could stay together for quite a bit longer, but we're considering how we manage that.
Okay. We'll talk about that, the positives and negatives.
Exactly. So, but that's my husband's answer to it. So,
is splitting them up.
Yeah. So, or at least it's the suggestion he's made.
Yeah.
And I know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Thank you for your time, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. But I'm confident it will. For me, it can either be good or it can be bad, and I'm going to spend the time either way. So I'd rather it's good. So yeah, I'm learning about this. Okay, we're getting there.
You're doing amazing. I know it doesn't always feel that way, but you're finding more wins as you go along, and that's our job as parents, is thinking like, I need to be thinking 2 steps ahead and giving us the best possible outcome together. Not giving in, not being permissive, not being punitive. How am I teaching what I want to teach? And what's my ultimate goal? It's complex. That is a lot, but that's so much better than hitting and forcing, because that doesn't teach anything either.
Well, every now and then I'm like, yes, I just want obedience. And yeah. But I'm now learning that I can't force obedience. They'll give it to me when they feel like it, like they agree with what I'm saying. And so, no, it's okay. Baby steps.
Yeah.
And I'm also trying not to take too much personally. Like I put a lot of effort into it, and I've realized I can't actually put that much in. It's a lot has got to be put onto the boys' shoulders. And I mean, we're not there, but it's I'm realizing that I can't keep the ship afloat. It's all of us.
I'm going to talk to my person about you and see if she'll get you a discount. And
Once I'm working, I could possibly even like actually afford it without getting complaints from my other half.
I hear you. But it will it will when you're ready, whether you do it with permission or without permission, it does clear stuff that has been just I'm gonna have another one to work on just blocks for me. So all right, well, I better run to go pick up my kid.
Yes, no, thank you.
You're so welcome. Text me if I'm confident you got it. If you need anything, just throw a text in there, okay?
Okay, thanks very much.
You're welcome. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.